So in late January, I had winter sowed several natives, and I'll post a link to that video down below. And then in March, I winter sowed a bunch of annuals, which I will also link below to that video. And most years, I am pretty successful with winter sowing, but I feel like this year was a little different, and I don't have some of them who I really expected to, see results, not showing as many results this year, and some potential failures. But it happens, and that's part of gardening. But I'll tell you also why I think some of it happened. And yeah, so as you'll see back there, a lot of my containers are open because we've had a long stretch of weather, of 80-degree weather, and it's just way too hot to keep those containers closed. And I think the temps are going to stay pretty warm, so it's go time. And I'm not ready to plant out my containers, so that's going to be a struggle. And I think that's a struggle for many of us who winter sow. You end up sowing all of this stuff and tons of containers, and then you have nowhere to put them, or you're not ready to put them out in the garden. So that's where I'm at. So let me show you the successes and the failures of my winter sowing this year. So we'll start with the natives, and this was some swamp milkweed and liatris, winter sowed on January 29th. And these are doing pretty well. The swamp milkweed, I believe these are seeds I collected. Now I can't remember. And then the liatris, which is a new one that I'm adding to the garden. And yeah, those did pretty well. I'm very happy with the results on this. Next is the sundial lupin and the pearly everlasting. And we've got some pretty good germination in there. Here's the lupins. We're starting to see the true leaves showing up for the lupins. And then the pearly everlasting, that's looking pretty nice. A little too many in there, so I think I'm gonna have to start separating these, and I can't decide if I'm gonna pot them up or just straight into the garden, but we'll decide that later. Next is the great blue lobelia and the cardinal flower. And the great blue lobelia, oh my God, there's too many in here, and I actually don't even need any more. The ones I transplanted survived. So yeah, we'll have to see if someone wants those. And then the cardinal flower, which I was a little bit concerned that I might not get any, did pretty well. A good germination in there, but it's slow growing though. I don't know how long is it going to take for them to get larger, but I think I do need to probably get these in the ground as well. All right, so next is Meadow Beauty and Hairy Beard Tongue. And Meadow Beauty, I'm not sure if this is actually a Meadow Beauty or if this is a weed or something else, but something tells me it's possibly not the Meadow Beauty, because I don't know if you can see, but there are teeny tiny seedlings coming up there, which I actually thought I didn't have any Meadow Beauties in there at all, but I don't know. I am thinking that's just a weed or something else, but the as you can see, there's something else right there. I don't know what that is. And then the hairy beard tongue, that is too many in there. And I do have some hairy beard tongue that did transplant well for me, so I don't need that many. So yeah, problems usually, right? With winter sowing, you just have way too many, but happy that I've got germination, and happy that I think maybe some Meadow Beauties are coming up. Don't know. So next is the world milkweed and the butterfly milkweed. And it looks like we've got some decent germination on both of them. For the butterfly milkweed, I really only wanted about 2. I've got at least 5 or 6 in there. And then the world milkweed, I did want a few more, but you know, we can always grow some more later on. And you know, so I'm happy that there's some germination in here. As you can, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but the soil, and almost all of my soil, has a lot of green algae in it. And it's not for the lack of drainage, because all my containers have very large holes in it this year. So I don't think it has to do with drainage. I think it has to do with the soil I purchased this year. So I didn't have enough potting soil, and so I went out and rushed out to go get a bag of Miracle-Gro, but it was sitting outside. It was frozen, solid, wet, very, very wet. And I started off with very wet soil. I'm assuming it's soil that was left over from the prior season, and you know, just been sitting out in the elements, in the rain, etc. So I think that's the reason for that. And you'll see, I think that might potentially be the reason for some failures, but I'm not really sure. Okay, next is goldenrod and calico aster, and I've grown these before and had great success with winter sowing these, but the calico asters are a bit slow this year, if those are even calico asters in there. The goldenrod did well, just like it does every single year. So yeah, we'll see. It's a strange year, but you know, the soil was just, I'm sorry, but it was crap this year, absolute crap. So I had opened up this container about a week ago, actually all of them, and you know, I really thought that this was a failure for the calico aster, but you know, now I'm seeing some life in there. So a lot of times with these perennials, you know, you sometimes have to be patient and you can't quite give up. You might just need to open the container, you know, if the temperatures are fine. Like right now, my temps are, today is crazy. The last several days has been 80 degrees, but the nighttime temperatures are now going to be consistently like mid 40s to upper 50s. And that's warm enough to open all these containers and leave them open. So now they're germinating. So there you go. Sometimes you just have to be patient and give them time, and they will germinate when the time is ready for them. So next is the delphinium, and we've got some decent germination. Now this side is burpee and this side is swallowtail, and definitely the swallowtail had a bit more germination in there, but we've got maybe two other ones are coming up for the burpee. So yeah, those are some germination. I do have some transplants that actually did okay. They seem to be doing all right. So I don't need, maybe this might be a little more than what I need, but it should be sufficient. So next is the clustered mountain mint and the penstemon. And we've got some pretty good germination on both. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, those are looking great. Both of them are new to me this year. And yeah, perennials are very, very slow to grow. So that's another thing that, you know, got to be a little patient with them as well. Give them time to put on some growth. This is the straw flower Tom Thumb, that the annuals that I did in March. And this is a really nice germination on this. I think I definitely sprinkled too many in there, but I plan on probably separating them a little bit. I haven't quite decided yet. I think I might up pot them because I don't think I'm ready to put them in pots yet, but I think they're going to need a little room. So this one I did straw flower silver rose and the red. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna get any germination on the silver rose, and the red definitely looks really nice. Good, decent germination in there. So that's surprising, although I see a few seedlings. Once again, I opened this about a week ago and thought, okay, no germination at all, but here we are. As I'm showing them to you, I'm starting to notice that there could potentially be some life in there. So we'll see if it's a total failure, or you know, maybe there will be germination. They'll just be later than the other one. So here I have some cosmic orange cosmos. These are seeds I collected. And then a tall verbena. I don't really need it. They all survived in my garden. So the tall verbena, no problem, germinated. The cosmic orange, now this one, I think it could just be that it's not time for them to come up yet. There's obviously one right here. So yeah, we'll see. There's, I guess, a possibility they could still germinate. So I'm not gonna completely give up on those, but otherwise the verbena, beautiful. This is the forget-me-not bluebird, and I did the Chinese forget-me-not last year, and this one's a little bit of a shorter variety. And this has some beautiful germination, and I did two versions. I did a Baker Creek version and a Burpee version, and both sides look great. So no issues with either one. They're beautiful. I actually hope that they do flower and self-seed in my garden. That's sort of the goal for this one. And yeah, I can't wait. So next is the nasturtium, and can't even close this container because they're so large. So this side is Moonlight, which is the trailing nasturtium, and you know, makes sense why these are so long. And I need to get these out in the garden ASAP. So yeah, that'll be happening in a few days. And then this is the just, you know, normal bushing type of nasturtium called Pink Blush. Tip Top Pink Blush, I think it is. And doing beautifully as well. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't get more damaged with such heat. But yeah, they're doing beautiful. So next is the Marigold Lemon Drop and the Signet Gem, and those did beautifully. The Lemon Drop is a new one, and it's just gorgeous in there. And then I love this Gem Marigold, and yeah, got some good germination in there as well. Marigolds do very well for me so far all the time with winter sowing. So these are my potential failures, but I'm not gonna fully give up on them just yet. You know, these are all Gomphrenias. So I've got the Lavender Lady, Buddy Purple, and then a full container of Buddy Purple. I was really wanting the Buddy Purple to add to my flower containers this year, and that's why I was doing so many of them. But you know, Gomphrena does need warmer temps. Last year I didn't actually sow them until April, and it did still take some time for them to germinate. So I'm going to say that there's still a possibility that I'll get some germination in these containers. There is a lot of algae in them, and you know, that was the issue with a lot of my containers this year. And again, I don't think it's for the lack of drainage, because they all have very large holes in them. So I think it was the soil I purchased, which was super wet. I think it had been sitting outside wet for a long period of time. It was frozen, and yeah. So, you know, I see two little seedlings in there. I think this is a weed, and I believe that is a gomphrena there. So it's just to wait and see if anything else you know, germinates in here. I don't know. I see one there that is definitely new, and so is this one here. And those are definitely gomphrenias. I believe this one is also a gomphrena here. So, and I'm seeing even one right there that might be coming up. So I don't know. I'm not going to fully give up on these containers. I will just leave them open. We are getting rain tomorrow, so these particular ones are just already still super wet. So I think I'm gonna put these somewhere where they're not going to get wet with this upcoming rain. So over here I have a bunch of tomatoes and herbs, and I did record this, but I never ended up putting out a video on it. I did a tomato video last year. So if you're interested, I'll link that down below. And tomatoes have always done very well for me with winter sowing. So I don't have a whole lot of space indoors, and so this is a great alternative. And I've doing the same one. Well, these I did last year, New Yorker and Boxcar Willie, and I've got germination on that. Better, I think, on the Boxcar Willie, but might just take a little time for the New Yorker to show up. I've got Roma Supremo and Cherry Falls, and I am seeing a little germination in there, I think, for one of them. So that'll show up soon. I've got the Super Sweet 100 and the Amish Paste. Both have germinated and looking beautiful. That Super Sweet 100 is always such a beast of a plant. It does so well. So we've got lemon basil and the red Reuben basil, and both have germinated and looking fantastic. We've got a Genovese basil and a Mamalo, which is supposed to be very similar to the Genovese basil, but a dwarf type of version. And it looks like we've got good germination on both as well. This is cilantro. Put on some good germination and growth, so probably will want to get this out soon. I did some thyme and rosemary. The thyme has definitely germinated. The rosemary, I think I see one in there, but I wasn't expecting much for that one, and that could take some time. So yeah, I think I'm just going to buy a rosemary plant. And this is not marked, but it's cilantro and parsley. So the cilantro has germinated in there beautifully, and the parsley is also starting to come up. So those are the results for my 2025 winter sowing. Not that bad. A few that perhaps are not failures, but rather will take a little longer to germinate. And, you know, part of it, I think, was the soil that I used. I do always like to get it in the fall, the soil, and I want to get a bag that's not wet. But, you know, sometimes you just don't have enough soil, or you forgot to get it, or whatever the case might be, and you got to do with what you have, right? And perennials, though, they do take some time, so be patient, especially if you're in a different zone than I am. I'm in New Jersey, zone 6B. My last frost date is typically around Mother's Day. Sometimes it's a little earlier. I think this year perhaps might be a little earlier. But yeah, you just, you know, perennials are just super slow, and you just got to give it a little time for them to start germinating. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you had a decent winter sowing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.